A 3-year-old boy opening a toy box, laughing, playing, innocent. No one could have guessed that behind that smile, an empire was being born, one that would grow so large it would rival Hollywood studios. But like every empire built on shaky ground, this one was destined to fall. What began as a family channel soon turned into a money-making machine. And in that machine, the line between love and profit started to disappear. This is not just the story of a YouTube sensation. It is the story of what happens when fame consumes a family from the inside out. Back in 2015, in the comfort of their suburban home, Shion and Loann Kaji decided to upload a simple video of their toddler, Ryan, opening toys. It was meant to be harmless fun, a child's joy captured on camera. But what they didn't know was that this small act would ignite one of the biggest YouTube phenomena in history. Viewers from around the world were enchanted by Ryan's cheerful energy. The comments poured in, the numbers exploded, and within months, the channel became unstoppable. The Kajis realized that this wasn't just playtime anymore. It was business. Every toy unboxed meant millions of views. Every laugh meant dollars earned. And soon, Ryan was no longer just a child playing with toys. He was the face of a digital empire that would grow to earn over $20 million a year. The world saw a happy child. But behind the scenes, his childhood was quietly being packaged, branded, and sold. One video at a time at AES, the channel's fame skyrocketed. Shion and Loann made a life-changing decision. They quit their normal jobs. She left her chemistry classroom, and he abandoned his engineering career. Their new occupation was now clear: managing Ryan, producing content, and expanding what they called Ryan's World. They built a production company named Sunlight Entertainment, hired a 30-person crew, and turned their home into a full-time studio. Cameras filled every corner, schedules replaced spontaneity, and scripts replaced playtime. The family dynamic shifted. Ryan wasn't just their son anymore. He was the product, the centerpiece, the brand. What was once a cozy home began to feel like a factory, one that never stopped running. Every smile had to be perfect. Every reaction had to be genuine, even when it wasn't. They told the world it was family bonding, but the reality was far colder. It was work that their little boy never asked. By 2019, the scale of their success was unimaginable. Ryan's face appeared on everything: Walmart toys, Colgate toothpaste, cereal boxes, even a Macy's Thanksgiving parade balloon. The brand had expanded into a billion-dollar franchise. But every new deal came with a price. The Kajis were building an empire on the shoulders of a child who could barely spell his own name. The cameras never stopped rolling, the lights never went off, and the pressure never eased. Critics started whispering, then shouting. People began to question whether this was truly a family channel or a well-disguised business operation that blurred the line between love and exploitation. What was once playtime had turned into production time. And for Ryan, childhood was becoming something that only existed off camera, if it existed at all. Soon, the illusion began to crack. The Federal Trade Commission launched an investigation after reports claimed that Ryan's World was disguising advertisements as regular play videos. Millions of children were watching what they thought were honest toy reviews, not realizing every smile was part of a paid promotion. Consumer advocates accused the Kajis of deception, saying they manipulated children who couldn't tell the difference between fun and marketing. Under pressure, the family rebranded from Ryan's Toy Review to Ryan's World, a desperate attempt to appear less commercial. But the truth was clear. The brand had become a full-blown marketing empire, fueled by the innocence of a child who had no idea what was happening. To the public, it looked like creativity. To the regulators, it looked like exploitation. And for the first time, the shine on Ryan's World began to fade. Behind the screens, the schedule was brutal. Ryan was filming up to 25 segments a week across multiple channels. Family vlogs, science experiments, challenges, holidays, birthdays. Every moment was monetized. His life was no longer lived, it was performed. And the worst part? None of his earnings were protected by law. Unlike Hollywood child actors, there were no safeguards ensuring that Ryan would see a cent of the fortune he helped build. Legally, every dollar belonged to his parents. They were the managers, the owners, and the gatekeepers of his entire career. While Ryan brought in the money, his parents controlled it all. The empire they built was vast, but so was the cost. A child's laughter had been turned into a brand, and the people meant to protect him were now the ones profiting from his every move. The cracks in the golden facade were beginning to show, and soon, the empire would start to crumble. The cameras kept rolling. The lights stayed on, but the magic was gone. What was once the most powerful family brand on YouTube began to show cracks too deep to hide. For years, the Kajis built their empire on the charm of a little boy and the illusion of happiness. But time has a way of revealing what the spotlight hides. The child who once brought laughter to millions was growing up, and with every passing day, the empire built around him began to collapse. One video at a time could see the height of their fame. Ryan's world was unstoppable. Videos pulled in billions of views, and merchandise flew off shelves faster than it could be stocked. But as the years passed, the once loyal audience grew older. The toddlers who used to laugh along with Ryan were now preteens rolling their eyes. They no longer wanted to watch a teenager pretend to be excited about toys meant for children. The charm had faded, and so had the authenticity. Meanwhile, YouTube itself had changed. After new child protection policies were enforced, the platform stopped promoting channels that featured kids in monetized content. Overnight, the Kajis lost more than 70% of their income. Their billion-view empire fell into silence. The numbers told the story no one could deny. Ryan's world was dying. Views that once reached hundreds of millions now barely touched 100,000. What had been a global phenomenon was now a fading memory. The fall wasn't gradual. It was a free fall without a safety net. And for the first time, the Kajis were forced to face a truth they had long ignored. Their golden era was over in an attempt to revive the empire. The Kajis made their most ambitious move yet, a movie. Ryan's World, Titan Universe Adventure. It was meant to be the next big step, a symbol that their brand could conquer not just YouTube, but Hollywood itself. The production cost $10 million, packed with colorful effects, familiar faces, and over-the-top energy. But when it hit theaters, something strange happened. The seats were empty. The buzz was gone. In its entire run, the film earned just over $600,000, barely a scratch of its budget. For the family that had once commanded the attention of millions, this was humiliation on the grandest scale. The movie didn't just fail, it buried the brand deeper. Audiences saw it for what it was, a desperate money grab. What was supposed to be a celebration of Ryan's world became the final proof that the magic had run out. The empire that once printed money was now burning as the dust settled and the numbers fell. The Kajis made a move that shocked everyone. Instead of stepping back and giving Ryan the break he so clearly needed, they turned to their younger twin daughters, Emma and Kate. Barely 7 years old, the twins were suddenly everywhere, featured in new videos, given their own animated series. Pushed into the spotlight their brother was trying to escape. The smiles looked familiar, the settings identical, but the internet had changed. Audiences were no longer blind to the pattern. Comments flooded in, accusing the Kajis of draining one child for profit and moving on to the next. People wrote that Ryan had already made his parents millions, and now his sisters were next in line. Every upload felt like a repeat of the same story. A cycle of innocence turned into income. The family tried to mask it as creativity, as family fun, but the truth was clear. They weren't rebuilding. They were recycling. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Once hailed as pioneers of family entertainment, the Kajis became symbols of greed and exploitation. Social media turned against them. Former fans called them out, demanding justice for the children whose childhoods had been turned into content. Meanwhile, lawmakers began paying attention. Multiple states started passing new laws requiring parents of online child influencers to set aside a portion of their kids' earnings, laws inspired directly by stories like Ryan's. The internet that once made the Kajis rich was now demanding accountability. Even interviews with the family revealed cracks. When Ryan appeared beside his parents, he looked exhausted, withdrawn, uninterested. Viewers noticed how his parents spoke over him, how he smiled less, how his eyes seemed distant. People began predicting what felt inevitable, a future documentary exposing everything, revealing how one of the most beloved YouTube families became an empire built on manipulation. Today, the once mighty kingdom of Ryan's world is a shadow of what it used to be. The views are gone. The excitement has faded. What remains is a cautionary tale about the price of fame when it is earned too young and controlled by the wrong hands. The Kajis still live in their mansion. They still own their luxury products. But what they lost cannot be measured in money. They lost trust. They lost respect. And perhaps most tragically, they lost the innocence of their son's childhood. Their empire, once celebrated by millions, is now remembered as a lesson in greed. The fall of Ryan's world isn't just entertainment gossip. It is a mirror reflecting what happens when love is replaced by profit and when childhood becomes currency. The story ends not with applause, but with silence. The boy who built a fortune for his family now stands at the edge of his teenage years, perhaps wondering who he really is outside the camera frame. And maybe, when the lights finally go off for good, he will find something his parents could never monetize: peace.